How's it going, guys? Thanks for tuning in to another Phil Talk Sports movie review. I'm here with PR52. Hank is with me for a review that's just shy of 30 years in the making. Happy Gilmore 2 graced our Netflix accounts earlier in the weekend. We're doing this on a Tuesday night, so it's been out for just under a week now. But Hank watched it, I think, today or yesterday. I watched it over the weekend, and we are ready for this. Hank, thanks for being here to cap off the Adam Sandler marathon that we've had going here. I think this is a great way to, I don't want to say end it, but, stamp on it until another Adam Sandler sports movie comes out, whenever that might be.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like the only other ones we'd probably do is like Uncut Gems or that basketball movie or that eight Crazy Nights. I think those would be the only ones. But of course, I at Sandler movies used to be my favorite thing in high school. Everyone used to call me Adam Sandler. I feel like as time goes on, I've looked more and more like Adam Sandler. That's why Phil continues to have me on these reviews because I'm sure people think that I'm Adam Sandler sometimes. But it's great to be here. And yes, I did. I watched this yesterday while the kids were napping, so it was a good showing.
Yes, that's the key to this whole thing. I'm hoping if someone just looks at the thumbnail real quick, they think I have Adam Sandler on for an interview, and we'll get some extra views out of it. That's totally the plan. But
It's
I'd say
smart.
the reviews, yeah, it's 4D chess out there. I'd say the reviews on this have been mixed. That might be a little more positive spin. I think if you were going into it just expecting a fun, just under 2 hours, because Adam Sandler is the king of the under 2 hour movies, that you were going to enjoy it. You've seen the first one a million times, so you're going to get a lot of callbacks, and you're just going to have a fun time. I don't know. I think the people that weren't happy with this, I don't really know what they were expecting. I don't know what they wanted. I'll be honest, I didn't watch the trailer, even though I meant to so many times, the kind of teaser and everything. I really had no idea what the storyline going into this was, and I kind of wanted it that way. I went into it blind. But I was excited. I went to Subway. I got the Happy Gilmore cup and everything. I was ready to go. Based on the drinking problem though that he gets in the movie, there should probably be something a little stronger in here besides water. But we'll make do with this today. I don't know, your friends, family, whatever it might be. What has been in your circle the opinion of the movie?
My okay, my personal opinion about the movie was that if you were going into it with the whole purpose of the movie being a sequel with a lot of fan service, the movie definitely succeeded at that. This isn't like a movie that I feel like is a super serious movie, which there are very, very few Adam Sandler movies that are serious, that are trying to be like drama movies. I think what Spanglish was one of them. There was a movie where Sandler lives in New York City and his family died during 9/11, so he's like kind of a hermit person. But most Sandler movies, they're not intended to have any serious value. They're not they're not supposed to be like these huge great works of art. They're as it is, they're just supposed to be films that that you don't have to take seriously at all. Like most Sandler movies are just vacations for his friends. Now from what I've seen, like people have been like this is the worst movie that I've ever seen, but I still don't care because I didn't really expect it to be like this huge work of art. Someone, if I can make one last comment about this, someone made the statement that this movie is like that friend that you had like 30 years ago in high school, and he's like super intoxicated and super drunk, but you like still decide to hang out with him anyway and talk about what you guys have been going through throughout life and all the old times. That's basically what this movie was. It wasn't like a thinker's movie. It wasn't like a thriller or an action type of movie or like a drama. It was just like Adam Sandler, a bunch of cameos, a bunch of people from the last movie, and make a movie out of it. A bunch of Adam Sandler's family members too. That was it.
Yeah, to add on to your analogy, this is like the friend from high school that you see for the first time in forever, and when you see him, he's exactly the same as he was when you guys hung out in high school, for the good or the bad. Like it's like, oh,
Yeah,
dude, Jeff hasn't changed at all, and then the more you hang out, you're like, wow, Jeff hasn't changed at all, like that,
at
positive and
all.
negative. Um,
Yeah,
Adam Sandler movies always has his friends in them, always has cameos in them. I think he broke the record for both in this one. I think the
yeah,
unofficial count of cameos is like 64, 66, somewhere in there, according to the people that would count those
yeah,
sort of things. Some very heartfelt, some just funny, some like, how the hell did you get that guy in this
yeah.
movie? So
There were more cameos in this movie than there were actual original characters in the movie. Like with all the golfers and all the hip hop artists, all the podcasters, um, the Vern Lundquist was in the movie again. Dan Patrick, Chris Berman. It's just people who have been in movies in the past and have actual names that are famous for something other than acting. There were more of those characters in the movie than there were the actual original characters.
and part of that is there's a handful, if not more than a handful, from the original movie that had passed on, and they get their moment in the sun, whether it be straight up showing their gravestone, creating a
Uh-huh.
either a realistic son or a fictional son or daughter to carry that person's legacy on in the movie. They do their best with all of it. You mentioned like his daughters and wife are in this.
Mhm.
This movie's gonna be really hard to follow the script we normally do, because it is, as far as like favorite character, supporting character, it's Happy Gilmore and like 8,000 supporting characters. So you
Yeah.
really could pick anybody from that. It's easy for me being a wrestling fan. Before this movie even came out, we learned that Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF, he's an AEW wrestler. He played Sandler's oldest son, the guy that was like jacked, the oldest one at the
Yeah.
dinner table and everything. And then they also had Carl from Shameless, if you're familiar with that show. He was like,
Yeah, yeah, they had. I know. I recognized him.
yeah, so he was like the second son. The other two I didn't really recognize from anything. Maybe I'm sure they've been in some stuff, but those two jumped out at me. I don't want to say other ones and ruin yours, but other than Happy, of course, who is your favorite? Oh my God, this either this person or this character is in this movie.
Um, you know, it was good to see Hal as a character and how him personally has changed throughout the years because before he was like this creepy guy who ran an old folks home, but now he's a creepy guy who runs Alcoholics Anonymous meetings, and it was kind of cool to see how like he kind of looked like a relatively normal looking person, even with the cartoony like "hey" voice. But now he's like super outrageously like hippie looking with long hair, and he wants people to do things for him, and that's how he claims that they're gonna continue with their sobriety. Um, let me think. I felt like another really underrated character in this movie uh, was the caddy. The caddy was kind of crazy. Like, isn't he played by like Bad Bunny or something like that?
Yeah,
Like
so
that's an
I
actual
watched
yeah,
I watched the entire movie. Not like I know Bad. I obviously I know he's an artist. He's actually dabbled in wrestling a little bit, so I've seen him more in the past 2 years than I would have any other time. Watched that whole movie without realizing that was Bad Bunny, but yes, that is who the
yeah.
cat is.
I will say this. I don't care about the singer or anything like that. I felt like they took that from what's his name who played the butler in Mr. Deeds. You know how like the butler in Mr. Deeds was like super awkward and like
Yeah.
like was his friend and was nice to him but was also super awkward. I felt like it was kind of the same character. I I didn't really understand him being in this movie per se, but I thought he did his role to the best degree, like kind of being a person who kind of showed up to the movie and doesn't know anything about golf.
Right.
And he's like, what was what he was like, he said something like, "Get my club," and he's like, "You mean club soda or something like that?"
Or club sandwich,
I
because he was a
forget what the
waiter before that,
yeah
so he's like, "Oh, a club sandwich? Yeah."
yeah oh no, a club sandwich, of course,
Mhm.
yeah. So I felt like that awkwardness was kind of funny. I laughed at some of those jokes. Again, I don't really understand his whole being in the movie. Like it's kind of random, but I felt like it worked well with what was going on in the film.
Yeah, and
I don't know if that makes sense.
I didn't make the connection with the butler from Mr. Deeds, but now that you say that, I totally see where you're coming from. That I remember "Oh, you're underestimating the sneakiness." That guy, definitely a
Yeah,
similar vibes. But as far as why is he in this movie? I mean, why is Eminem in this movie? Why is,
yeah.
anybody in this movie? I
Travis Kelsey. Why is Travis Kelsey in the
Right.
movie?
And he had a
Why
really
is Travis
small
Kelsey
role.
a waiter?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that was a small role too. I thought if you're gonna bother to get Travis Kelsey, you'd have him do a little bit more. Um, Probably, I don't. We've talked about this in the first one. Neither of us really follow golf, but in the top 10 rankings in golf, I feel like 6 of the top 20 golfers in the world were in this movie. So that's probably a big deal for golf. And there's one thing that I did notice. One of the few things I know about golf is Scotty Scheffler is the number one golfer in the world, and he is often considered like very boring to watch. He dominates. He
mhm,
doesn't have a lot of personality. His interviews are not fun. Even when he wins, like people don't watch
yeah,
his celebrations. I feel like this was his attempt to gain a personality or have the perception of a personality. The one joke I did get when the cops come after him to arrest him, he's like, "Not again," because he had that mishap
yeah,
a year ago or
yeah.
whatever it was where he tried to get into the
Because
tournament. And yeah, so that made me
he
laugh personally.
he,
Yeah, I feel like it was
he
his
was go,
attempt to obtain a personality, which maybe it works, maybe it doesn't.
he was going the wrong way, and he got arrested. And what the joke about the instance that happened was the police officer claimed that his $60 pants got damaged or something like that.
Yeah,
His
yeah.
cop pants. I was like,
Mhm.
bro,
I'm sure they
calm
can get
down.
you. Yeah, they can get you. They can get you more pants, man. I'm sure. Um, Let's see. So that's favorite character. There's not. I don't know if there's a lot of quotable things for this one, like tap it in or go to your like
Yeah.
the old ones are there. I don't think there's new ones. The one that got me though was, and it's not something you can quote and people are gonna get, but the line that made me laugh the hardest was when the big guy that was his boss at the construction site that he shot the nail into. That actor, of course, has passed on. They had his son there, and he asked him, he's like, "Oh, he was good. He got the nail out, and he ended up he missed the nail after a while, so he put it back in." And he's like, "Oh, that's crazy. How did he pass?" He's like, "He rolled over in his sleep," basically saying that
Yeah.
the nail
It was
went all the
it
way
was
in.
it was Boban, the basketball,
Yes.
the Middle Eastern that which that didn't make very much sense to me because the guy in the movie was like an American actor
Yeah.
and Boban is not an American. Well, yeah, he's European born. He's like Eastern European, so that didn't make any. I felt like he was someone who was chosen because he's like tall and awkward,
And goofy looking. Yeah.
and goofy looking. Yeah, and then like his mom was in it, and she's like this short, like white person.
Yeah.
Um, um, honestly, like I don't think there was anything that you're right. There wasn't anything super quotable in the movie. Um, I I I guess I guess I can remember parts where he's talking to the evil guy and he's like I have your gums smell, your breath smells. He's like I have like degenerative gingivitis.
Gingivitis.
It
Yeah.
runs in my family. And he's like, "Yo, you're disgusting." Or like when he kept calling Haley Joel Osment's character by the wrong name just to show how forgettable of a person he was,
Yeah.
which I guess we'll get to this, but I guess that was an inside joke in the movie that the co-villain in this movie was just a super forgettable character. But I guess we'll get to that.
Yeah.
John Daly drinking constantly in the movie was funny.
Yes.
Drinking hand sanitizer, like constantly, like because the joke in the movie is that Adam Sandler or Happy Gilmore becomes an alcoholic because he accidentally kills his wife. Spoiler alert. And in order to cope with it, he drinks copious amounts of alcohol. He puts it all in like different nooks and crannies in his house. There's a cuckoo clock, and there's a cucumber flask, and there's a golf ball flask. He's just constantly drinking. I feel like there were some good quotes. The part where Eric Andre was in, where he's golfing with them, and they're like, "We like to play a really quick game. We like to play real quick." And you know, they're the three of them are not really that good themselves.
Right.
Um, the first guy just like tops the ball off, and like they're acting like they're really good. Again, I there are not and much when it comes to quotable lines from this movie, so I would agree with that.
The part, like you said, with Eric Andre, and I wrote it as like the Saturday Night Live crew because that's kind of what those guys are mostly known for, other than Eric. He's been in some other things. But what annoyed me about that scene, like the scene itself was funny, but as it's starting, because Happy's literally, he even says like he has not swung a golf club in 10 years, 20 years, 15, whatever it was. And his thing is, his long drive. Why would you not
Yeah,
start at a driving range? Why didn't we see him miss from the
yeah,
drive? Why did you go right into playing actual golf? That confused me at first. But
yeah,
the best part about that scene is in the very beginning, and it's been posted everywhere. The actor that played his son in Grown Ups was, he passed away at a very young age, and there was a scene right at the beginning of that golf course. There's a TV on, and it's paused, in a moment with that character, and so that was his homage to that actor that passed away too soon. That's kind of taken the internet by storm, and that was a very classy move by Sandler, I thought.
yeah. I saw that and I recognized it. It was a good fan service for a lot of the actors that had passed away who played leading roles in the previous movie. And with the fact that Adam Sandler is kind of really known as being a goofy guy, you didn't really expect it. But I guess this is a movie that tackles death in a series that tackles death. Obviously, Happy Gilmore 1 tackled death as well, with Chubbs getting killed and him going to his happy place, and obviously there were actors, the grandma and the obviously the guy who played Chubbs passed away as well as the guy who played the who's the guy with the the uh, the thing in his head. What was his name?
I forget his name, but yeah, he's passed on
But
as well.
he passed. I call him Jaws because that was his most notable role.
Right.
But yeah, so it t- obviously tackles death because, spoiler alert again, Happy's wife, uh, what was her name? Vivian. Vivian,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Veronica was Billy Madison.
Yeah.
Vivian was this movie. Okay.
And Vicky
Yeah,
was
different. Yeah, Vicky was Waterboy, who she
Yep.
was not a blonde, which
Right.
the Veronica was a blonde, but yeah, I don't know. I'm mixing myself up at this point.
I was really thrown off by the whole, like, I don't know what irritated me more. Like when he kills his wife, that's like really threw me off. Like, but like you said, the first Happy Gilmore dealt with death in a semi-humorous way, so that was a thing. But what I hated the most is in his downfall, he loses grandma's house again. So it
Yeah,
kind of just like eliminated the feel good story of the first one. Granted, spoilers, he gets it back in a weird last
yeah,
minute, deal with the evil guy. Another take I have is out of all the famous people in this movie, the main villain should have been somebody more famous. Like I looked this guy up, he's been in
yeah,
a few things. I'd never seen him before, but like
yeah.
it could have been
It,
Travis
it,
Kelsey with a weird mustache. It could have been,
yeah.
out of all the stars in this movie, why is the main villain somebody relatively unknown? That's my other big
The two main villains were really, really bad.
thing. Yes.
The gingivitis guy was really, really bad. The Haley Joel Osment's character was really really bad as villains. Not like their characters were bad. Obviously, they were bad guys, but they were as villains. They weren't very good. And then the payoff end of the movie was also freaking horrendous. Because we remember the first Happy Gilmore movie where there are so many stakes going into this like one uh, overtime elimination match between Happy Gilmore and Shooter McGavin. Shooter McGavin is a great villain. He is one of the greatest villains in not only Adam Sandler movie history, but also like movies in comedy movies in general, because the dude is conniving, right? The dude is willing to, take pot shots. He's willing to be sarcastic on screen. He's willing to do whatever he can in order to beat Happy, including getting the haha jackass guy to like run him over with his car, right? You hate Shooter McGavin in this movie. If you are rooting for Happy Gilmore, you hate Shooter McGavin. I didn't really get that this time. I didn't really get that with this one. And the payoff in this movie was really poor because in the first one, you're like, okay, well, he's essentially levying his grandma's house. In this one, it's like, okay, it is admirable to get your daughter to, go to ballet or dancing school in Europe, which, again, very honorable. But I never thought to myself, he's going to lose. Even with that little turnstile putting green that they had, I was still like, yeah, he's still gonna win. In my personal opinion, this is a take that I have, and tell me if you think it's dumb.
Okay.
I think that in the end, I think he should have lost.
Okay, explain why, and then I'll give
And
you why if I
and
think you're
and,
good or not.
and here's why. I think he should have lost, and not to be like jumping on the bandwagon and being like this new type of golf is in some way better. I thought it would like I thought it would have been a great ending if it was one of those things where he lost and this 7-on-7 golf became like the new great thing, and Happy Gilmore just happened to be a part of it. Right? Like and it's one of those things where like he's like, oh, instead of like it's kind of like Grown Ups. Remember in Grown Ups when he loses on purpose. Like in this one, he's not going to lose on purpose, but like remember when he loses on purpose so
Yeah, he
that the
misses
other
the goal.
guys, yeah, he doesn't purposefully lose. He just loses because the
He hasn't
rules are
played in
all
15 years.
are all yeah, and the rules are all goofy.
Hmm.
But it's like, what if this like ventures in an era of this new golf league and like everyone lives happily ever after? Because at the end of the movie, he's not chasing the weird gingivitis dude. He's
Jake,
chasing
Hal.
Hal, Ben
Yep.
Stiller's character.
Right.
So I feel like this would have been a good way. They win, and then he's like, hey, if you want to be part of our new golf league, you can be part of our new golf league. And he's like, you know what? Yeah, I think I'll be part of your new golf league. And then,
And he gets the
now
money for
and he
ballet
get
school that way.
exactly.
Yeah.
But it's not like one of those things where I felt like it was like this the new golf league. I felt like the movie portrayed them as super villainous, but they really weren't super villainous. If you think about it, they're just coming up with a new idea to make golf more interesting, more exciting. It makes like because you know how like LIV golf is that Saudi Arabian golf
Yep. I,
league.
I was about to get
I
to all
feel
that. Yeah.
like I feel like it was kind of supposed to kind of be like that. But this new golf league, it's like some people say like baseball is boring for certain reasons. whether you think so or not. There are also people who think that golf is really, really boring. And how can we come up with ways in order to make it more exciting?
Right.
Well, there's that. And Happy Gilmore, who is the influence of this new golf league, he's the star of the new golf league.
All right, let me jump in here because you actually just no pun intended teed me up very well for a couple of takes I want to take. Start with your thing. I see your point. I am going to disagree because I think like in Grown Ups, whether losing on purpose, either way, that was a good movie to lose when really they were the winners. They had the better life. These people needed it more than us. That was a good example that you can lose and everything be okay. This movie, you mentioned Live Golf. This movie casually dunks on Live Golf as where it misses the mark, though, is like Live Golf isn't doing anything super outside the box or super innovative. All they're doing is paying all the golfers a lot more money, whether you win or lose. And I think their scoring system's a bit different. So they're not doing anything. To me, what the way I took this is if the people, and you started this point, the people that think like baseball is boring and love the Savannah Bananas, imagine if that guy that dresses like Curious George made a Savannah Banana golf league. It's kind of
Yeah.
to me, I would compare it to that. The
Yeah.
one thing, there's plenty of things about this movie to not like, and we just named a few of them. The one thing I will say about this movie that they got correct, Happy Gilmore was originally like the anti-hero for golf. He was kind of against what golf stood for. And the reason he's standing with the OG, old, boring quote unquote golf guys is he says, my wife loved this game just the way it was. So he's doing it in
Yeah.
honor of his wife.
Yeah.
So that part I thought was right. And then the take that I'd like your opinion on, we mentioned the villain isn't really the best villain. They had a perfect villain in this movie that they chose not to really use, and it was his former caddy that he choked went on to become a
Yeah.
golfer. And this whole
Yeah.
movie could have been about he's who's standing in
Yeah.
his way to get the money to get grandma's house back and and
Mhm.
the ballet school and all that.
Yeah.
I think this is a much more grounded and like centralized movie if and like maybe Shooter kind of has a babyface turn in this movie. He becomes a good guy by the end of it. He's
Mm.
on Happy's team. He fills in after an
Yeah.
injury or a TQ. I forget what it was. But so Shooter becomes
Wait.
he's a very neutered version of himself. So he's not
Yeah.
you could have easily made him like the mentor for this kid that Happy in a way did wrong. He choked him on national TV. Like that guy
Yeah.
has a legitimate gripe against Happy. I think this is a better movie if the caddy that grew up to be a pro golfer is the one standing in Happy's way of whatever his goal happens to be. To me, that's a better movie.
Yeah. I'll agree with that. But I was not upset about Shooter not being the villain. I did
No,
not
that's
mind
okay.
that at all. I did think that his turn to to being a good guy was kind of lame, whereas he
Yeah,
kind of just gets in a fight with Happy Gilmore and they beat each other up in a cemetery. I didn't think that that was that good. Maybe they could have done something along the lines of, "Oh, I'm rehabilitated," instead of just being like a crazy person who twitches every time you mention Happy Gilmore.
yeah.
Um, but I didn't mind him being Happy Gilmore's friend. That
Yeah,
didn't
that didn't
that
bother
didn't
me.
upset me.
I mean, people
No.
over the 30 years just about that Shooter, you said like one of the best like movie villains for a comedy maybe ever. People like the character now, so the fact that you get to cheer for him in this one is a good thing. I think it would have been again
It,
if you still wanted to make him wild and crazy, he could have been the guy for the other golfer. But he kind of
yeah.
pulls the same thing. Like they try to get him on this live tour, the Maxi League, whatever they call it. And he says the same thing. He's like, "Man, I'm a golfer. Like what you're doing here is
Yeah.
spits in the face of everything I've ever worked towards." So even as this conceited guy, he's still like, "No, I'm not going to join you." So like they have a lot more
Yeah.
in common than they have for different reasons, but they respect the sport that brought them both so much that that
The,
part I do agree with.
his turn to being good kind of reminded me of Dr. Robotnik's turn to being good in in Sonic 3, where he's about
Yeah,
to blow up and he's like, if I can't rule the earth and I'm gonna save it, and
Yeah,
then he dies because Jim Carrey doesn't want to be in Sonic 4.
right.
You know,
I would compare it to
yeah.
that's a great comparison to an all-time great film, Sonic 3. There is a version of there's a Joker storyline in an old Batman comic where he like goes back in time. He ends up fighting Hitler because Hitler like he's trying to recruit him to help him with stuff, and he punched him in the face. And he's like, "I might be crazy, but I'm still American," or something to that effect. So to me, it's pretty similar to
Okay,
that. Yeah, I gotta send you
okay,
that one of these days. It's pretty funny.
okay.
But yeah. So like I said, this movie is a lot harder to follow the script we normally do for movies. So we're kind of just jumping around here. Um, I think I finally have you beat on the memorabilia question. I think I found the most ridiculous thing in this movie. But I'm gonna let you go first. See if you can top me here.
No,
What is your
it's
if
it's
you're new to the show, the question is what is something from this movie, a prop that you could physically take home with you, would you want from this movie? And Hank always finds the most ridiculous things. Let's recap for a minute. In Waterboy, you did the gross
the
water
pail.
bucket of water.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what else. What else did we
What
do?
we did longest yard, right? It was the toothpick.
The toothpick, yep, that was longest yard.
Yep.
And then what else did we do? We've done three, right? This is the fourth one.
What other movie did we do? Was it was it
I'm
it
gonna find
was
it here.
what other sports movie did he do?
Happy Gilmore, Waterboy,
Waterboy.
long, longest yard. Oh, would you pick for the first Happy Gilmore?
Oh, I forgot.
Okay, we'll have to go back. But in
I
general,
can't
Hank picks
remember.
the most ridiculous things, and I think I got him beat this time. We'll see what his answer is.
It was the cucumber flask.
I went with the golf ball flask because like
Okay, well.
that's a stupid amount of liquid too. Like that's not even worth your time. So I think by a hair I got you beaten this one because
Yeah, you did. You
he
did.
shoots he puts the ball and it misses by like an inch and then he drinks it. I'm like, Happy, it's full of liquid, that's why it missed. You're not bad at putting. You basically cheated yourself. It's like using a loaded dice at that point. So I think I got you
He's
by a
like
hair on that one.
he's at work in the supermarket, and he's like he's in front of his was he in front of his boss?
No,
Is
that's
that
when the
what
maxi
movie?
guy walks up to him.
Oh, and he like pulls it open and starts drinking it.
Yeah,
It was either that or it was the hand sanitizer.
yeah. Signed by
It
John Daly.
or the cuckoo clock
Yeah,
or the booze. Yeah, but I'm gonna pick. You do have me beat, but I'm gonna pick the cucumber flask.
because they're all ridiculous, but that's the most ridiculous because it's also the least practical. Because he played
Yeah,
around with it, like that. You screwed yourself. Congratulations, Happy. You played yourself. That's
yeah.
um,
He's like he's like
just
puts it back
puts it
on.
back on. I wonder if there's like an outtake scene where he accidentally like puts that one on the shelf, and then later he goes to
Yeah.
like, and it's a regular cucumber, and he's like, oh, and then like then it cuts off or
Yeah.
whatever. That'd be ridiculous.
Or
Um,
it was kind of like if you've ever seen Back to the Future,
yeah.
for one of the scenes where he's drinking liquor in his car, parked with his mom, and she's about to make out with him. They actually put real alcohol in the alcohol bottle, and he spits it out all over
Oh, is that a real?
the
That's a real reaction.
the steering wheel during the an outtake.
Interesting.
So they
Okay.
were like playing with him.
hmm Another thing I would change. It's just hit me now. John Daly's in the movie. I say put him on the team. I say like
Yeah.
when the guy gets DQ'd, and they have to fill it. Like it was cool that Shooter was in there, but he didn't have to be. You could have had John Daly walk up with his hand sanitizer bottle, wearing pajama pants, and drain that putt. That would have been pretty cool to see him do more than just sit in the garage.
I just unlike unlike a different movie, if you've ever seen the movie Dodgeball,
Yeah, of course.
where he's going up against the average Joes are going up against the what were they called? The Cobras? The
Yep.
purple
Global
Cobras?
Gym Purple Cobras. Yep.
Okay, because for some reason I kept calling them the Purple Vipers. Those the villainous team, we actually know who they are, right? They introduce those characters. I mean, they Michelle, they introduced him at the beginning of the movie, but like Laser and Blazer. They introduce those characters like when they're starting the tournament.
Yeah.
With this movie, I'm like, who are some of these people? Like, I recognize Reggie Bush, but I'm like, why should we dislike these people?
Yeah.
You know, why should we root against them? Because they just want their golf league to work. You
Yeah.
know, they want to be the number one golf league in the whole world. So like, why should I root against them? Like, I understand they're like the antithesis of golf and what Happy Gilmore stands for, but why should I dislike them other than the fact that they look like they're characters that you could find in an SSX tricky game,
Yep.
and they look like futuristic hooligans. Why should I dislike them for any other reason but that? You
So
know?
my only answer for that is one, I did not realize that was Reggie Bush until after I'd seen the movie because they really don't spend a lot of time with these people. The
No.
female on the team is WWE superstar Becky Lynch, and she is crazy popular in the world, and she gets like no screen time. Like she should have
Yeah.
thrown a few barbs at people, and she's an insanely popular around the world person that she's like barely. I did not realize that was her because she gets like three shots where she's the only one on screen. So that
Yeah.
was another deal. The only why root against them, the only real thing, and this is really my last major take before we kind of get towards the end here. Uh, they gloss over way too quickly. They needed to go way more into this. Is my take here. Happy has the ability to drive the ball long because he has that crazy run up. They
Yeah.
simulate that by like cutting a nerve and something in their back, and that's why they're able to
Yeah.
crazy rotate and hit. So I
Uh,
guess you're supposed to root against them because they're cheating. They've
yeah.
illegally altered their bodies. That should have been more of a storyline. Like one, more about how you could able to do that. Obviously, Happy can do that naturally. What is special about Happy that he's able to drive the ball? Since we're going to get into the
Yeah.
science of it with these other people, but I think that's the reason you're supposed to root against them.
Maybe
They are technically
maybe they could have done something along the lines of like they like hurt somebody who Happy Gilmore cares about,
right.
or like one of them is like dating his daughter and like she thinks that they're great but he knows that they're evil, you know, like again, like it the movie is great in terms of fan service, and if that's all you care about, then it does its job, but the ending doesn't really have that much of a payoff, and there isn't that much of a threat in the movie that makes you think, he might not win. You know he's going to win in the end because he's Happy Gilmore and he can, you know, make crazy shots if he wants to. Because he learned in the last movie that all you have to do is go to your happy place and, shoot the ball off of this and that.
I
So
did
you knew
like
he was going
the
to win.
I did like the old man happy place where it's it's not boobs and beer anymore. It's waking up without heartburn and being able to
Yeah.
wear medium sized shorts. Like as someone who's
Yeah.
now 33, I'm closer and closer to those being my goals. So I thought that was funny. You get the Rob Schneider replaces the little person on the tricycle
Because he's short.
because he's short, and we get a you can do it in there. Um, Overall, man, I had fun. I didn't expect much more
Yeah.
than what I got. Like I said, I think it's a better movie if it's a little more grounded in reality, and you have the caddy he choked, that's on the tour,
Yeah.
mentored by Shooter McGavin. I think it's a cleaner, easier storyline. Um, how? Oh, this is my other one little nitpick at the end. His big accomplishment is his 3 month sobriety chip. I would never undermine someone getting a 3 month sobriety chip, but why do we make it 6 months? Why don't we make it a year? Why not make it a
Yeah.
little
Right.
bigger? I would have made it a year chip potentially. I think that'd be my only other qualm. Like 3 months. Like again, if
Yeah.
someone in your life just got a 3 month sobriety chip, celebrate that person. But for a movie, make it the year chip or something.
Yeah, because like yeah, and one day for some people is a huge milestone, but
Sure.
I felt like for Happy Gilmore it was like who drank out of everything that he could find and made everything into a flask. So now that he's sober, then it's more of a success story for him if it's a year.
Right. I still just the idea of John Daly renting out his garage for some reason. We don't know why. That's never explained. But I did find that funny because he says, I'm gonna be out of here soon, Happy. I just put a down payment on a tent. So clearly
right.
John Daly's falling on hard times as well.
John Daly doesn't care where he lives.
No.
I also kind of had a problem with all of Happy Gilmore's kids. Like, I didn't really see a purpose for him having four sons who acted super obscenely and like went to work and pretended to make obscene gestures at work and like beat people up. I didn't really see much of a purpose for them. Like, obviously his daughter, who is his actual daughter, not only in the movie but also in real life, she had an actual purpose. So it would have been good for the movie to be more occupied with her struggles, instead of his four boys who really, outside of beat up Jackass's son and
Who's
throw him
Eminem?
into who's Eminem, they throw him into an alligator infested swamp. Other than that, they really don't have that much of a purpose in the movie. And if I can say one aspect of the movie that was annoying, it was that. Like,
Yeah.
that part had no payoff for me.
So when you dig way too much into it, I think they're like the fact that they're doing the obscene gestures. Happy did all the same thing at all those jobs, so I get that part. They're quick to beat people up because that's the way Happy was.
Yeah,
but practically they exist because they do have four jobs, and they're essentially the people keeping the house they do have. Because Happy doesn't work; he just sits home.
gotcha.
He eventually got the grocery store job, but I think for a while they were the ones all pitching in. That's why they all lived under the one roof, so they could actually afford to do it. But yes, his other daughter is the one in AA at the very end of the movie. So that's his two daughters, make an appearance. I had one more thing I was going to say. I don't remember, but overall, we don't always rate the movies, but I don't know. I'll give it a 7. I think it's a solid 7. I had fun watching it. I don't know that I'm going to go back to rewatch it anytime soon, though. I don't know that it's super rewatchable, but for the one time watch through, is it worth the 30-year wait? No, of course, but I don't think we're getting a third one. Definitely not.
No.
I don't know if you have any, before I ask you the final question, I guess, do you have any last minute, anything else last minute?
I've been kind of hard on the movie a little bit because that's just I'm kind of like a critic, and that's kind of how I am. Again, like, I thought it was a decent movie, and again, like, if you're looking for a film that is a sequel that has fan service, then it's a good watch. Like, if you're interested in celebrities, if you like to see some of these random people from the previous movie and now new original and unoriginal characters in this movie, that's great. And I can definitely see like a niche in that as well. Um, I I did think that it was kind of cool that they got all those golfers together. Like, that is one thing that you know might not have meant anything to anybody, but like, I did kind of know who those guys were. And kind of like the chit chat that they had, like the old golfers were like, yeah, I there are things that I can't do anymore because I'm old as dirt. And then like the younger golfers are like playing tricks on each other and doing like that's what
Mhm.
she said jokes. That was kind of comical, I would say.
I think if you're into golf, you really enjoy the guys on the team, the Scotty Schefflers, the DeChambeaus, the guys like that. And then, the older ones, like you said, they're there. There's probably like an Arnold Palmer reference in there somewhere that I didn't get because I'm
Yeah.
not a golf fan. I agree. It was very cool to see. Like, I haven't seen something quite like that since probably the original Space Jam, when all all the players get their powers or
Yeah.
their talent taken from the aliens, and then there's like a B plot of them just trying to live their life without basketball talent. Like, it wasn't quite that, but there is a whole B. Like, I do like when Scotty gets arrested, and they're watching it on the cell in the TV in the jail cell, and he like takes over the jail cell. Like he won't let the big guy change the TV. And then by the next time they
Yeah.
cut back, they're all watching. Like he's kind of like became big man on campus somehow. I thought that was funny. I
Yeah.
don't think these golfers are quitting their day job to become actors anytime soon, but for the role they took in
No.
this, I thought they did great.
Yeah. Agreed.
So final question. Again, this was fun. Not quite the 30-year in the making payoff that when we started this Sandler Assance, we knew it was going to end with this. So then I'm pretty sure the next movie I review with Hank won't have Adam Sandler in it. Could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is where this streak ends for now. There's still plenty of movies left on that Netflix Adam Sandler deal. If you had to get a sequel of another Adam Sandler movie, what would you want it to be?
Billy Madison?
And we talked about this when we reviewed it. I'd want it to be Waterboy. I obviously he wouldn't play because especially can't play college football because he's going to be 52 or whatever. Something with coaching, and I don't know, maybe use some of these kids to be his sons in the next, as maybe MJF's character is playing at Southeast Louisiana State or whatever it was called. But no, that's the only one I think there's meat on the bone. Because like, what do you do? Like, but Billy Madison, what is he gonna go back to school again? Like, I don't know how you would do it.
I mean, you could. I mean, in this one, like we couldn't really recollect how awful his career was going to get spoiled, or his career was going to get spoiled. We didn't know that his wife was going to get killed, which I will say I thought was not a horrible idea for this movie for the wife to get killed off. But I mean, like maybe it could be him like navigating his career, or maybe navigating retirement. Because
maybe.
he said he's going to become a teacher. Well, like, what if he like busts out being a teacher, and now he has to, or maybe he has to go to college now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then with Happy Gilmore, he could like maybe when Mama finally dies, he's navigating that life, and then they need an assistant coach back at the school, and he becomes the linebacker coach, and then somebody is kind of the star, really raw talent but not focused or something like that. You could do something like that.
Kind of like Rocky. Wasn't Rocky 6 called Rocky Balboa or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like that movie where Rocky doesn't win in the end. They kind of tie, and
right.
He's kind of like mentoring this guy while at the same time fighting.
Yeah, and then there's also like people hate this one, but like Rocky 5, where he straight up mentors Tommy Gunn, but then he eventually like turns heel on him basically. But yeah, overall a good time. I enjoyed it. I might watch it one more time in the near future, but I don't see myself touching it again after that for a while. But I think we got it was the talk of the weekend. I talked to several people about it earlier this week about just like, hey, did you watch it yet? What'd you think? It's definitely, there's not a lot of movies that people like, oh, this is out, I need to go watch it. It helps that it's on Netflix. I don't know, would have done great in a box office. That's why you make a movie like this on Netflix. So, it was just one of those small, like, it took over a weekend. People will trickle in and watch it. Now, I'm sure the numbers are great on it. I'm sure Netflix is getting everything they need out of it.
Yeah. It's, to me, it was a film that you watch once and then that's it.
Pretty much.
That's how I felt. It has a lot of parts that are funny. It has a lot of parts that kind of make you think, but I feel like it's one of those things that you're just gonna watch once, and you can go watch Happy Gilmore again, the first one, because it's such a good movie.
Yeah, Happy Gilmore 1 to a generation is definitely a comfort movie. I don't see this becoming a comfort movie to anybody. I don't think it's going to have that same magic at all.
No.
But I think that's going to do it for us, guys. I want to thank Hank again for jumping on here. to finish off this 4-run stretch of Adam Sandler movies. This has kicked off season 4 of the movie reviews. I'm not sure what's coming next. I was zeroed in on this for a while. Football season's right around the corner. I'm sure I'll have Hank on for that. Nick's already making some appearances, and of course I'll have more PWR wrestlers interviews in the coming months. We have a lot of cool things going on there with wrestling. So I want to thank you guys for checking this out. Thanks for clicking on. Hope you enjoyed the movie. Let me know what you thought in the comments. And thanks for listening and watching, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.